The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and fading hope, but Alex Harper clung to the tiny bundle in his arms. His newborn daughter, Lily. Her mother, gone before the first cry, left Alex, a 25-year-old gay man in 2005 San Francisco, to face a world that wasn't ready for him. He'd promised Lily's mother, his best friend Sarah, he'd raise their girl with every ounce of love he had. And he would, even if it meant doing it alone. Alex's life hadn't been easy. Growing up in a small Ohio town, he'd hidden who he was, dodging slurs and fists until he escaped to the Bay Area. San Francisco was freedom, a place where he could breathe, but fatherhood at 25, as a single gay man, was a mountain he hadn't expected to climb. He worked nights at a diner, pouring coffee for strangers, and days learning to change diapers, soothe cries, and budget every cent. Lily was his world. Her giggles, her tiny hand in his, her first wobbly steps in their cramped Mission District apartment. He'd whisper to her at night, "We're a team, kid. You and me against the world." By the time Lily was 10, Alex had built a life for them. He'd landed a steady job as a graphic designer, moved them to a small but cozy house in No Valley, and found a community that embraced them. He dated sparingly, always cautious. Lily came first. But at a local art gallery opening, he met Javier Morales, a 37-year-old photographer with a quiet intensity and a laugh that felt like sunlight. Javier saw Alex, not just as a dad but as a man carrying dreams he'd tucked away. Their first date was coffee at a Castro cafe, where Alex nervously admitted he hadn't been on a date in years. Javier's hand brushed his, and for the first time in a long time, Alex felt seen. Their relationship grew slowly, deliberately. Javier respected Alex's devotion to Lily, joining them for Sunday picnics at Golden Gate Park or helping with her science fair projects. Lily adored him, calling him Javi, and begging him to teach her photography. By Lily's 13th birthday, Javier had moved in, and their little family felt complete. Alex would catch himself watching them. Javier teaching Lily to frame a shot, her laughter filling the house, and wonder how he'd gotten so lucky. But the world wasn't always kind. Lily faced whispers at school about her two dads. Alex coached her through the hurt, teaching her to stand tall. "People fear what they don't understand," he'd say, "but love is stronger than fear." He believed it, and so did she. At 16, Lily was fierce, outspoken, and proud of her family. She marched with Alex and Javier at Pride, waving a rainbow flag bigger than she was. Alex thought they'd made it through the worst. Then came Lily's 20s. She was studying environmental science at UC Berkeley, dreaming of saving the planet. Alex and Javier scraped together every dollar for her tuition, but money was tight. Alex's freelance work dried up during a tech industry slump, and Javier's photography gigs were inconsistent. They didn't talk about it much. Pride kept them quiet, but the strain was there. Lily, caught up in her own world, didn't notice. She was in love, engaged to her college sweetheart, Ethan, a kind but privileged law student from Marin County. The wedding planning began, and with it a slow unraveling. Lily wanted a dream wedding, a venue in Napa, a designer dress, a guest list that screamed status. Alex wanted to give her everything, but the numbers didn't add up. He and Javier sat her down one night in their kitchen, the same table where they'd helped her with homework for years. "Sweetheart," Alex said, his voice tight, "we can't afford the wedding you're planning. We'll do everything we can, but it's got to be simpler." Lily's face fell, then hardened. "You always said you'd do anything for me," she snapped. "Why can't you make this work?" The words cut deeper than Alex expected. He tried to explain, bills, savings, the reality of their life, but Lily wasn't hearing it. She stormed out, and the silence she left behind was louder than any argument. Days turned to weeks, then months. Lily stopped calling. Texts went unanswered. Alex would scroll through her social media, seeing her with Ethan's wealthy family, who'd stepped in to fund the wedding. Each photo was a knife twist. She was moving on without him. Javier held Alex through the sleepless nights, but the pain was relentless. "She's young," Javier said, his voice steady. "She'll come back." But Alex wasn't sure. He'd given Lily everything, every sacrifice, every moment, and now she'd cut him out like he was nothing. He wondered if it was about more than money. Was she ashamed of him? Of them? The thought gnawed at him, reopening old wounds from a world that had once told him he didn't belong. One evening, Alex found an old photo of Lily, age 5, grinning in his arms at a county fair. His chest ached. He'd raised her to be strong, to fight for what she believed in. Maybe she was fighting now, but against him. He didn't know how to reach her, but he knew he couldn't give up. Not on her. Not on their family. The San Francisco fog rolled in thick that spring, mirroring the haze in Alex's heart. He kept busy, taking on extra freelance projects, but every quiet moment brought Lily's absence crashing back. Javier tried to keep things light, cooking Alex's favorite tacos or dragging him to late-night jazz shows in the Mission, but even his warmth couldn't fill the void. Alex would stare at his phone, willing it to light up with Lily's name, but it stayed dark. One afternoon, while sorting through old files for a client, Alex found a drawing Lily had made at 8, a crayon sketch of him, her, and a rainbow over their house. "My family," she'd written in wobbly letters. He traced the lines, remembering the little girl who'd clung to him through storms. Now, at 24, she felt like a stranger. He wondered if Ethan's family, with their money and influence, had convinced her he wasn't enough. The thought made him sick, but he pushed it down. Lily wasn't cruel. She was hurt, maybe confused. He had to believe that. Javier noticed the drawing on the kitchen counter that night. "You okay, amor?" he asked, sliding an arm around Alex's waist. Alex shook his head, unable to speak. Javier didn't push. Instead, he pulled Alex close, and they stood there, the hum of the city outside their window. "We'll get through this," Javier whispered. "She's still our girl." Alex wanted to believe him, but doubt was a heavy guest. Meanwhile, Lily was drowning in her own world. The wedding planning consumed her. Venue tours, dress fittings, endless calls with Ethan's mother, Claire, who treated the event like a corporate merger. Claire was kind but controlling, insisting on traditions Lily didn't care about. "It's what people expect," Claire would say, her smile tight. Lily missed her dad's, their easy laughter, their messy but real home. But pride, and a sting of betrayal, kept her away. She'd asked Alex for one thing, the wedding of her dreams, and he'd said no. It felt like he'd chosen his limits over her happiness. One night, at a lavish engagement party hosted by Ethan's parents, Lily overheard Claire talking to a guest. "It's such a shame about Lily's father," Claire said, her voice dripping with pity. "Raising her alone. And now, well, it's good she has us." Lily's stomach twisted. She wanted to scream that Alex hadn't raised her alone, that Javier was family too, that they'd given her everything. But she stayed silent, sipping her wine, feeling smaller than she ever had. Back in No Valley, Alex decided to try reaching out again. He wrote Lily a letter. Not an email, not a text, but a real letter, like the ones he used to leave in her lunchbox. "I'm sorry I couldn't give you the wedding you wanted," he wrote, his pen shaking. "But I've never stopped loving you. I'll always be here, Lil." He mailed it, hoping it would find her heart. Days passed, then weeks. No response. Javier suggested they visit her, but Alex hesitated. "What if she doesn't want to see me?" he asked, his voice breaking. Javier cupped his face. "Then we try again. And again. She's worth it." The turning point came unexpectedly. Alex got a call from an old friend, Marcus, who ran a community center in the Castro. "Lily's been volunteering here," Marcus said. "She's teaching kids about sustainability. She's struggling, man. Talks about you sometimes." Alex's heart leapt. She was still in the city, still connected to the community he'd raised her in. He thanked Marcus, hung up, and turned to Javier. "I'm going to see her," he said, resolve hardening. Javier nodded. "I'm coming with you." They arrived at the community center on a rainy Saturday. Through the window, Alex saw Lily, her hair tied back, laughing with a group of kids as she showed them how to plant seedlings. She looked like the girl he'd raised, fierce, kind, alive. He took a deep breath and stepped inside, Javier at his side. Lily froze when she saw them, her eyes wide. The kids kept chattering, oblivious to the tension. Alex opened his mouth, but no words came. Lily's lips trembled, and for a moment he thought she'd run. Instead, she crossed the room and hugged him, hard. "I'm sorry," she whispered, tears soaking his shirt. Alex held her, his own eyes burning. "Me too, kid," he said. Javier joined them, his hand on Lily's shoulder, and for the first time in months, they felt like a family again. But the road ahead wasn't clear. Lily pulled back, wiping her face. "We need to talk," she said, her voice shaky but firm. Alex nodded. He was ready, whatever it took. The community center's fluorescent lights buzzed softly as Alex, Javier, and Lily sat in a small office, surrounded by posters of empowerment and pride. Lily fidgeted with a pencil, her eyes darting between her dad's. "I didn't mean to shut you out," she started, her voice low. "It just snowballed." Alex wanted to reach for her hand, but he held back, letting her speak. "Ethan's family, they're so intense. They took over everything, and I felt like I had to keep up. When you said you couldn't pay for the wedding, I felt betrayed. Like you didn't care." Alex's chest tightened. "Lil, I cared. I've always cared. We just didn't have the money." He glanced at Javier, who gave him a small nod. "I'd have sold the house if it meant making you happy, but it still wouldn't have been enough." Lily's eyes softened, but there was still a wall between them. "I know," she said, "but it wasn't just the money. It was everything. Ethan's mom kept talking about normal families, and I got so angry, but I didn't know how to fight it." Javier leaned forward. "You don't have to fight alone, Mija. We're here." Lily's lips twitched at the familiar endearment, but her shoulders stayed tense. "I miss you guys," she admitted, "but I'm stuck. The wedding's in 3 months, and it's not even mine anymore. It's Claire's show." Alex saw the exhaustion in her eyes, the weight of expectations she'd been carrying. He knew that feeling, living for others, hiding who you were. They talked for hours, peeling back layers of hurt. Lily confessed she'd been avoiding them because facing them meant facing her own guilt. Alex admitted his fear that she was ashamed of him, of their family. By the time they left, the rain had stopped, and a fragile bridge had been built. "Come to dinner tomorrow," Javier said, his tone gentle but firm. Lily hesitated, then nodded. Okay. Dinner was at their house, the same table where they'd shared countless meals. Javier cooked arroz con pollo, and the smell filled the house with warmth. Lily arrived with Ethan, who looked nervous but earnest. Alex liked him. He was a good kid, just caught in his family's orbit. Over dinner, they laughed, reminisced, and avoided the heavy stuff. But as dessert came, Javier's flan, Lily's favorite, she brought up the wedding again. "I want you both there," she said, looking at Alex and Javier. "Not just as guests. I want you to walk me down the aisle. Both of you." Alex's throat closed up. He'd dreamed of that moment since she was a little girl, but he hadn't dared hope for it. "We'd be honored," he said, his voice thick. Ethan reached for Lily's hand, squeezing it. I want that too, he said. My parents, they don't get it. But this is our day. For the first time, Alex saw Ethan as an ally, not a rival. But the peace was short-lived. Claire called Lily the next day, furious. Two fathers walking you down the aisle? It's unconventional. People will talk. Lily held her ground, but the pressure was relentless. Claire hinted at pulling the funding if Lily didn't compromise. Alex overheard the call when Lily visited that weekend, her face pale as she hung up. She's threatening to cancel everything, Lily said, her voice shaking. I don't know what to do. Alex felt a surge of protectiveness. You don't need her money, he said, surprising himself. We'll figure it out. A small wedding your way. We'll make it work. Javier nodded, his jaw set. We've got this, Lil. But doubt crept in. They were still stretched thin, and a wedding, even a modest one, was a stretch. Alex spent sleepless nights crunching numbers, taking on extra work, even considering a second mortgage. He wouldn't let Lily lose her day. Lily, meanwhile, was wrestling with her own choices. She loved Ethan, but his family's control was suffocating. She started questioning everything. Her relationship, her priorities, her silence when Claire disrespected her dad's. One night, she showed up at the house unannounced, tears in her eyes. I don't know if I can do this, she said. Marry Ethan, not like this. Alex held her, just like when she was little, and let her cry. He didn't have answers, but he had love, and for now that was enough. Lily and Ethan had a heart-to-heart. I love you, she told him. But this wedding has to be us, not your parents. Ethan agreed, standing up to Claire for the first time. She was furious, but Ethan held firm, and Lily felt a spark of the strength she'd inherited from Alex. Still, Claire's influence lingered. She sent passive-aggressive texts, hinting that Lily was ungrateful, that Alex and Javier were complicating things. Lily ignored them, but each message chipped away at her resolve. Alex, meanwhile, was burning out. He'd taken on 3 freelance projects, working late into the night while Javier handled the wedding logistics. One evening, Javier found him asleep at his desk, a half-finished logo on the screen. You're killing yourself, amor, Javier said, pulling him to bed. We're doing this for Lily, but you need to take care of you too. Alex nodded, but the weight of providing for his daughter, again, felt like his duty alone. The night before the wedding, Lily came over for a final planning session. The garden was ready, the guest list trimmed to 50, and a local baker had donated a simple but beautiful cake. They sat on the porch, sipping tea, the city lights twinkling below. I'm scared, Lily admitted. Not about marrying Ethan, but what if I've messed this up? What if Claire's right and I'm throwing away something perfect? Alex took her hand. Perfect doesn't exist, Lil. Love does. And love means choosing what's real over what's easy. The wedding day dawned bright and clear. The community garden buzzed with life. Wildflowers swaying. Friends setting up chairs. Music drifting from a borrowed speaker. Alex and Javier stood side by side, both in simple suits, their eyes on Lily as she emerged in a second-hand dress she'd found in the mission. She was radiant, her smile a mix of nerves and joy. As they walked her down the aisle arm in arm, Alex felt his heart swell. The guests, friends, neighbors, their chosen family, cheered, and for a moment, the world felt right. But Claire's shadow loomed. She'd shown up, despite her threats, sitting stiffly in the back. During the reception, she cornered Lily, her voice low but sharp. You could have had so much more, she said. This is quaint, but it's not what you deserve. Lily's face fell, and Alex, watching from across the garden, felt a familiar anger rise. He crossed the lawn, Javier at his side. Claire, he said, his voice steady. This is Lily's day. If you can't celebrate her choices, "You don't belong here." Claire bristled, but Javier stepped in, his tone calm but firm. "We're her family. We've always been her family. You can join us or leave." The guests nearby went quiet, and Lily looked at her dad's, tears in her eyes. Claire left without a word, and the party continued, louder and freer than before. Lily danced with Ethan, then with Alex and Javier, the three of them laughing under the string lights. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. Later, as the night wound down, Lily pulled Alex aside. "I was wrong," she said. "About the money, about shutting you out. You've always been enough." Alex hugged her, his throat too tight to speak. He realized then that the wedding wasn't just about love. It was about forgiveness, about choosing each other again and again. The months after the wedding were a slow rebuilding. Lily and Ethan settled into a small apartment in Berkeley, and she started visiting Alex and Javier more often. Sunday dinners, impromptu coffee runs, even a pride march where she waved that same rainbow flag from her teenage years. The hurt wasn't gone, but it was healing, stitched together by time and effort. Alex felt lighter, like he could breathe again. One evening, Lily showed up with a photo album she'd made. A gift for Alex and Javier. It was filled with memories. Lily's first birthday, Javier teaching her to ride a bike, the three of them at the beach, windblown and happy. The last page held a photo from the wedding. Alex and Javier walking her down the aisle, all three smiling through tears. Under it, Lily had written, "My family, always." Alex cried reading it, and Javier teased him gently, though his own eyes were wet. Lily's relationship with Ethan's family remained strained. Claire sent a stiff apology letter, but it lacked warmth, and Lily kept her distance. She was learning to set boundaries, to choose the people who lifted her up. Alex was proud, but he also saw himself in her. Learning to stand tall took time, and sometimes it hurt. Alex and Javier, too, were finding their way forward. The wedding had stretched them thin, but it had also reminded them of their strength as a couple. They started planning a trip, just the two of them, to Puerto Rico, where Javier's family still lived. "We deserve it," Javier said, and Alex agreed. They'd spent so long building a life for Lily. Now it was time to nurture their own. One quiet night, as they sat on their porch, Alex turned to Javier. "We did okay, didn't we?" he asked, his voice soft. Javier smiled, his hand finding Alex's. "Better than okay. We built a family." Alex nodded, thinking of Lily, of the years of sacrifice and joy, of the fights and reconciliations. He thought of the little girl he'd held in that hospital room, and the woman she'd become, strong, flawed, and fiercely loved. The story wasn't over. There would be more challenges, more moments of doubt. But as the San Francisco skyline glittered in the distance, Alex knew they'd face them together. Love wasn't perfect. It was messy, hard-won, and real, and that was enough.